Hi, and welcome back to JGC Blog. So today I thought it would be fun to make you a short video to explain to you exactly what is JGC Blog, but a more in-depth video, so you can actually understand what topics you can find on my blog, what I like to write about, what subject I like to touch on, and everything. So it's a tour and I hope you enjoy it. Before we start, remember, it's important, please turn on the subtitle, because as you know, this is a bilingual blog because I'm a bilingual person and I speak English and French. So sometimes I'm going to have video of me speaking French because I have read a French book and it would be easier for me to express or geek on or just share on in French. Or I'm just going to speak English because I will have been watching an English movie or read an English book, and it would be easier for me to share exactly my feelings in English. So yes, remember, please turn on the subtitles. On JGC Blog, you will find a lot of things. And when I say a lot of things, I mean you will find anything that pertain what I think is culture. For me, culture is art, music, books, and in a more wide range literature. It's history, it's painting, it's expositions. I say exposition, but I mean, like museum, exhibitions. Well, you know what? This is weird too, because it can mean, it means something different in French. It's everything that pertaining arts and creation and the way people around the world, their take on it, their take on culture, on how to express themselves, how to express love, how to express friendship, how to express heart. That is what culture is to me. I love sharing it. It means that sometimes you will have serious topics or really introspective topics regarding philosophy or sociology or, kind of everything that with the word ending with the letter ology. So, let's make a tour. I think you're gonna have here, pretty sure, a screen of what you can find on my blog. So first of all, you will have the section of the blog that I called Cultural Thoughts, and this is where I just share short essay, open letters, reflective articles about self-love, empowerment, and even if this section might have very serious topics like grief, loneliness, mental health, you might also find articles that are a mix of playfulness but with depth. And of course, there will also be a lot of topics like self-awareness, motivation, and how to live with a purpose. And not only live with purpose, but how to find a purpose. Because whether or not we like it, this is hard. Life is hard. So of course, it cannot be my blog if there is no sections about blogging tips and content strategy. So you can find that on JGC also. There are already a couple of articles. Some are very easy to grasp and very easy to apply on if you want to start blogging. For example, 10 reasons why you should always be honest when you write. And that's one of my favorite articles, because I think that being honest when you write is what can lead you to success. It's exactly what can make you unique, or at least special. You have to have your own voice. We'll talk about where to find inspiration. I must admit that whatever new technology or new platform that exists, I keep going back to Pinterest, which I absolutely love. So I did wrote an article about Pinterest being a source of inspiration. And I also talk about writer block and how to get over it, or at least how to start little by little writing again. So You also have on my blog a section that I called Digital Wellness and Culture Recommendations. Well, it's not new. I was already doing that back in 2019 and 2015 when I started blogging. I always like to review what I like. That's actually the core base of the blog, is to find joy in something that other people do or create through music, through books, through arts, and see how they adapt it to their culture, how they implement it to their culture, and how beautiful the difference are within all of us. It's I think I probably like to write about the difference within us and between all of us and celebrate it, because this is what makes us all so beautiful. I have a series on my blog called Start the Month With, where I just recommend you what I read or what I seen or even what I had, even food that I tasted and that I liked, and I just like to review them and give you a list to start the month with. And of course, the part that is digital wellness and anti-doomscrolling, it's just really content that kept my attention away from social media, and content that I think is really worth the try. What really excites me about this part of my blog is that I will be able to recommend other creators, and whether they are on, I don't know, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Substack, WordPress, if I think they're awesome, I'm going to recommend them to you anyway. So I'm very excited about this. There is also the travel and discovery stories on my blog. To be honest, this part it's a little complicated because I haven't been traveling in a very long time. I don't think I went outside of France since COVID. It's not I don't think that, I know I didn't travel outside of France since COVID. And I can talk about this and explain how the anxiety and how paralyzed I felt after the quarantine, and why mentally I wasn't prepared to go anywhere or take a plane, even if I enjoy so much. I absolutely love traveling. Psychologically, it's complicated, but on that part of the blog, you will find some articles about the travel that I did make. And the best travel that I ever made was the one where I went to Turkey, where I traveled to Istanbul. And it was just magical. I actually created a whole PDF magazine style because I wanted to share how much I loved everything that I did there, and how wonderful the people were, how the food was excellent, and there weren't anything wrong, and nothing went wrong in this travel, and that's very rare. It was just a joy, and I cannot wait to go back. And because I loved it so much, I started to immerse myself a little more in the Turkish culture, and it's one of the languages that I aim to learn. So, on my blog, you will also find one of my favorite sections, the Geek Culture series. Back in when I first created, you have to know that all the Marvel movies were starring in the theater. It was absolutely awesome. It was during the old peak of the Marvel universe. So I got to live through it with my friends, and I fell in love with the characters, at least some of them. I loved the universe, and I wrote a lot of articles about some of them. I remember when I wrote the article about the Thor movies, the third one, which was so hilarious. They completely ruined that by doing a fourth. And I think I wrote about Captain Marvel too, and I loved that movie. And for me, the geek culture is really when I'm geeking out and when I want to write about like more of the pop culture or like geek culture stuff, like a very popular mangas that I've read, or very popular characters. Like, for example, I love Vegeta. I love Vegeta. I don't know how to you pronounce that in English. It's Vegeta. In French, it's Vegeta. So I'm gonna keep the French version. No, just kidding. I love Vegeta. Is my favorite, and I'm perfectly capable to write an article to explain why is my favorite and why it will never ever ever be less than Goku. So in a nutshell, that's what the geek culture is. It's me just diving in fandoms and writing about what I like. And you have to know that I'm a very, very big fanfic reader. Like, I've read over, I don't know, honestly, I'm not going to say the number because it's kind of embarrassing, but I've read a lot of fanfictions and all across like hundreds of fandoms. So it's not just Harry Potter or I don't know, Marvel or Supernatural. No, it's I've read, every time I find something really fun to watch on TV, something that I get obsessed with, I have to go check the fandom. I did that with Bridgerton, for example, so maybe I'll write about that. And the goal of this section is to share my thoughts, and always with happiness and joy, which doesn't mean that I'm not going to touch on serious topics, because many, if not all, of the series and TV shows and movies that I watch have some flaws, and it's cool to just talk about that and to share and to see the opinion of you, the readers. So that's really the main goal, to share the opinion that I have and to get feedback. And finally, you have the last section on my blog, which is fictional writing. So when I first introduced myself in my video, I did share to you that I'm a writer first. Then I'm a blogger, then I'm a content creator now, but I really consider that I'm a writer first and foremost. And so I'm not going to tell you the date, I'm not going to set a timeline, because this is really personal and not quite something that I'm ready to share, but I do aspire to be an author, and I do want to write my book. It's a book that I've been in my head, the plot, the characters, and the universe of that book. I've been in my head since I was 9 years old, so I am going to get it out one way or another one day. I'm not going to tell you when, but before I do that, there's a lot of other things that I'm putting in place to get better at my craft. And I remember where last year, I don't know if it's still something like today, something trendy today, but I remember last year where everyone was going around and making commonplace journal. I have one as well, but they were also doing curriculums, and I always wonder, where are you at with that? Because when I did it, I decided that I was going to take this very, very seriously, and actually, go back to uni, get myself on a literacy course, and just, go back to writing in a more academic way. You can find some fictional writing of mine on JGC Blog. I have a chronicle, a very short stories about a character that I've named Evana. She's a young girl that has a very hard life. You just follow the moment when she decides to find freedom. It's very short and it's very sweet and it's very on the poetic side of writing. This is a short story that I want to illustrate, that I want to make into a podfic, the equivalent of a podcast, but for a fictional story. So that's something excited to look for. And then finally, it's important to remind you that you can find my article in French for the French people that are probably seeing the video and maybe hopefully wants to follow me. This is the moment where I'm going to switch to French. Ok, donc là, vous pouvez aller voir ou découvrir mes articles sur Substack. Substack, du coup, c'est vraiment la plateforme où j'ai décidé de poster mes articles en français. J'ai commencé à traduire les daily chatsi, donc les recommandations avec une citation, une chanson et une image par jour qui colle à un thème. C'était vraiment des articles que je postais presque tous les jours à l'époque. Puis après, c'était un jour que je choisissais, 1 ou 2 jours ou 3 jours que je choisissais dans la semaine. Ça pouvait être le thème du jeudi, et le thème du jeudi, c'était sur le courage d'avancer. Et du coup, j'ai accompagné cet article-là avec une chanson que je considérais qui allait très bien avec le thème. Une image qui était parlante pour moi et qui collait aussi avec le thème, et une citation. Évidemment, c'est la même chose là, vous voyez, qui allait avec le thème. Donc mon Substack, il est encore très très nouveau. C'est un nouveau-né. J'ai pas beaucoup d'abonnés, c'est surtout mes amis. Mais il y a beaucoup de choses qui vont venir. Et il y a évidemment la traduction, si vous ne parlez pas anglais, la traduction de mes autres articles, les plus touchants, les plus lourds, avec des sujets plus complexes ou plus sérieux. C'est des traductions qui vont bientôt arriver, ne vous en faites pas. Donc voilà, je vous conseille, je vous suggère d'aller jeter un œil à mon Substack, si ça vous intéresse. Ok, we're going back to English. Just to say thank you. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to catch you soon for probably for a book review, a book that I've read in French, but that was just wonderful. So yeah, excited to share that with you. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe or give a like. It's a lot for me. It means so much to me. I'll see you soon. Bye.